I have been very sick for the past 4 days. You can probably tell from my voice, but this sickness has been taking a huge toll on me. In particular, my mental faculties feel just completely shut down. I needed something completely mindless to play. Even the easier Fire Emblems like Path of Radiance, Birthright, and Sacred Stones were demanding too much of me. So luckily, a children's game dropped recently, specifically Princess Peach Showtime. I had vaguely been looking forward to it, but knew nothing other than it being a 2.5D platformer based around changing costumes and starring the princess from Queen's Gambit, the Netflix television show. Now, you may be wondering, why am I, a famous Paper Mario YouTuber, talking about Princess Peach Showtime? Well, the main character is a sword fighter who uses a rapier, so it's basically a Fire Emblem game, and Fire Emblem was made by Intelligent Systems, so it falls within my purview, okay? Now, let's get a couple of things out of the way. This is a children's game, so if you're looking for complexity, depth, or length, you're not going to find it here. That's not to say that it's impossible to have a good game that is easy, simple, or short, but I wanted to put that out of the way because I know that is a deal breaker for a lot of people. As for just how short and easy, it took me about 12 hours to finish. I didn't die once, and there were several chapters where I just didn't take any damage. So now that we've covered what the game isn't, how about I talk about what it is? Princess Peach Showtime sees our titular hero traveling throughout 10 different themed worlds in order to free acting spirits and defeat the evil Grape. Yes, the villain's name is Grape. It's a little bit goofy, but I kind of like it. At the beginning of each of these worlds, Peach travels around with a ribbon that she can use to inspire the citizens. But during the first level of each, she will find that world's costume, and her control scheme will change depending on what the costume is. For example, Sword Fighter Peach participates in hack-and-slash combat based around using her jump as a parry. The Chef Peach does a bunch of Cooking Mama based mini-games in order to clear the stages. Mermaid Peach uses her song to control fish in a way that feels kind of like if Pikmin could swim. None of these control schemes are especially deep, but instead the game opts for width, trying to give you a taste tester of 10 different genres. I can see what they were going for, as it constantly mixes up your control scheme and keeps the gameplay fresh, especially because you don't tackle worlds entirely one at a time. Instead, each floor of the theater gives you access to 4 different levels from 4 different worlds. For example, the first floor gives you access to the first level from Sword Fighter, the first level from Cowgirl, the first level from Baking, and the first level from Ninja. Once you beat these 4 levels, you can fight the game's first boss, and then move on to the second floor, which, in addition to containing the second level from Sword Fighter World, also contains the first level from 3 new different costumes you haven't seen on the first floor. The intent is clearly to make sure that the gameplay doesn't get stale. However, in practice, it ends up being frustrating, especially because some of the costumes are significantly stronger than others. Personally, I enjoyed wall jumping as a ninja and grappling around as a spy, and dreaded going into the detective room where I would have to play Detective Pikachu, but somehow even dumber and slower. Adding to my issues of breadth over depth, you don't get too many levels with each individual costume. Instead, there are only 3 stages for each costume, and one of them is shorter than the others. Worse still, future levels don't really take the opportunity to iterate on the previously introduced mechanics. In Baking number 1, you make cookies and cakes. In Baking number 2, you make cookies and cakes. That's it. No new complications, no new recipes, no juggling cookies and cakes at the same time, you do them separate from each other. It's all just the same, but more of it. Now, in addition to trying to beat each stage by reaching the finish line, there are collectibles scattered throughout them. Each level has a ribbon that will unlock either a new dress pattern or a new color for your magical ribbon companion. There's also coins that you can use at the shop to buy more dress patterns or colors for your ribbon, and a bunch of blue stars that are required to enter the boss doors. Theoretically, the stars gate progression, but I got so many without going out of my way that I don't think I ever had to go back into a level to get more stars. If you're really into the systems, it can be a good way to get some more replay value out of the game's campaign, but otherwise I don't think it adds too much. As far as the ribbon colors and dress patterns, it's an idea that has potential, but I think it is executed very poorly. Nintendo has been adding costumes to a lot of its games as of late. One that stands out is Super Mario Odyssey, where Mario can become a skeleton bride, he can become a mechanic, he can even become a mobster. Or heck, he can de-res his graphics and become the N64 Mario. The equivalent in this game is Peach getting a new pattern on her dresses. There's some fairly basic ones that can be purchased from the shop, such as stripes and two-tone, as well as a bunch of themed ones that you can collect from inside of levels. I ran around with the strawberry-themed dress that you get from the baking level for a while, and most of the other themed dresses are just somehow related to the costumes. However, there's not a lot of room for creativity here. You can't actually change the color of Peach's dress. You can change her ribbon companion's color, but you barely see that thing anyway. And moreover, you spend most of the game in costumes that are not your dress. And unless I overlooked a feature in my Stick Super, there's no way to actually fundamentally alter the look of your costumes. If you don't like the fact that the sword fighter has a blue hat and blue jacket, well then tough titties, there's no customization there. And it leads the question, why are we customizing Peach's dress if the only time that we see it is in the hub world and during the boss fights? This really feels like a feature that was stapled on last minute because someone at Nintendo decided that girls must like dress up. But Mario gets to dress up far more than this. Like, if it's only going to affect Peach in the lobby and the boss fights, why is there so much restriction on her having to wear a pink dress with just slight alterations to the pattern? Why can't Peach be a Frankenstein, or Princess Toadstool from Mario 64, or any number of other wacky ideas? I mean, Mario can wear a wedding dress and Peach can't? This is ridiculous. I don't mean to come off super negative. The game is very charming, and there's fun to be had here, especially if you're fine with something that is short and non-punishing. But for a 12-hour experience that lacks mechanical depth and replay value, it feels pretty bold of Nintendo to ask for $60. If, unlike me, you aren't able to write off video game expenses on your taxes, then I would recommend waiting for a sale or buying this pre-owned at a discount. If you're looking for a fun platformer with Peach in the meantime, Super Mario Wonder lets you play as both her and Daisy, and it is phenomenal. It's also easy, but it has length and depth to it that this game really just lacks. It's a shame because I really do like Princess Peach, and I was excited for her to have her own full-fledged platformer, but unfortunately this just does not feel worth the price of admission. And the extra unfortunate part is that this is unlikely to perform well, and Nintendo will probably use that as an excuse not to make any more Peach games for the next 2 decades or so. Anyway, I hope you liked this little mini review. There will be a Fire Emblem video later today, I promise. Have a wonderful day. Take care, gamers. Bye-bye.